The 49ers face a massive uphill battle tonight on Thursday Night Football. If they're going to have any hope of beating the Rams, they have to be able to run the ball. Why haven't they? We'll break it all down on today's Gold Standard Podcast. What is good, everybody? Welcome to the demonetization station here on the Gold Standard Podcast Network. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. That, of course, is Johnny Dell from the Johnny Dell Football Academy. Welcome to the show where we go inside the film and break down what is happening or not happening with the 49ers. Johnny, how you doing on this game day?
We're fine. It's fine. We're all fine. We're all good. That's the mentality.
Now, we're all fine. Is that, like the meme of the dog in the burning room?
Yep. Yes. It's fine. It's fine. We're all fine.
It is Mac Jones and the Funky Bunch tonight against the Los Angeles Rams. We're going to break down why the 49ers have not been able to run the ball. Then afterwards, we're going to get into some of the issues that the 49ers are having health-wise and the training staff. And there's a very big misconception about that Johnny wants to address. So we're going to do all of that. But, Johnny, in general, I can't remember the 49ers going into a game without quarterback one, without wide receiver one, wide receiver two, wide receiver three, tight end one, pass rusher one. Like, the list goes on and on. Is for a team that has been more banged up than anybody, is this the most banged up they've ever been?
It's close. I mean, it's got to be close. The only time I can think it could be worse is maybe the stretch down the season last year when Brock was out and Bosa was out and we had almost no offensive linemen out there. McCaffrey was out and Ayuk was out and Debo was out. And I mean, that's the closest thing I can remember a whole 10 months ago. Then you just look back to other times in 2020, 2021, 2019, even we had a bunch of injuries, 2018, it's just, is this the worst? I don't know, but it's sure making an argument for it.
I can't even believe we're having this debate. Like, this is a debate I never wanted to have. When are the 49ers the most banged up? Like, I just want to stop all the bleeding and the pain. But the pain hasn't stopped, and it's not going to stop. Before we get to the film breakdown quickly, just want to give a shout-out to Sleeper. Thanks so much to Sleeper for hopping on board. We're not going to have a pick show this week, obviously, because we usually do that Fridays with Michelle. So I wanted to give you a few here. First of all, Christian McCaffrey receiving yards, take more than 54.5. He's the only guy other than Demarcus Robinson that they are going to throw to. Christian McCaffrey is on pace to have the fourth most catches anyone has ever had in a single season. They are going to throw in the ball. You can get the ball to your running backs. I love more than 54.5 receiving yards for him. I'll take more than 98.5 receiving yards for Puka Nacua because the man cannot be stopped. He is on pace for 2,100 receiving yards this season. That is absolutely absurd, okay? And I'm stunned at this one. Demarcus Robinson's number is 27.5 receiving yards. Who else are they going to throw the ball to if not Christian McCaffrey? That seems crazy low to me. I don't know what they think they know, but that seems like an obvious mistake. So I'll take Demarcus Robinson more than 27.5 receiving yards. And if you want to take any of these picks, please do it with Sleeper. All you got to do is pick higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards, etc. And you could win up to 1,000 times your money with Sleeper if you get your picks right. So please listen to what we're saying. We've been crushing it with the picks this year. And if you use our promo code GSP, you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. And if you haven't done so, now is the perfect time to do it because new users will get a free $20 entry even if you don't deposit anything. You still get a free $20 entry. So again, check out Sleeper today. I promise you won't be disappointed. Now, let's get into it, Johnny. The film. This is one of those days and one of those times where it's tough to dive into the 49ers film because a lot of it's not good. Why can't they run it?
I mean, it's easy to kind of look at what Kyle has said and what Clay has said and different guys and say, okay, they're just kind of coach speaking us on this, that the team really is, they're not just one block here and they're systemically struggling to run the ball. But when I look at the film, okay, if we were to narrow this down to one specific thing, it would be the communication between these three guys, the communication between Brendel and Colby and Trent.
Okay.
With a lot of it being on, remember, this is a 7th round rookie. So I know it can be easy when we see some of the good flashes of a rookie and say that is the tail of their tape. Connor Colby, and I texted you earlier this week, I said Connor Colby needs to be able to sit down and rest and reset, relook at his film, and start working on his technique more. He's overwhelmed by the amount of data and information that is coming to him. And we're going to see that on some other plays. But this team is missing Ben Barch. You know how high I was on Ben Barch this whole offseason. This run game would look wildly different. You got Ben Barch out there. That's just how I feel. I think we would see at least a couple explosives, and that's the big difference right now is you're missing 1 to 2 explosives per game that normally we have. This is not new to the Shanahan offense to have a lot of 2 and 3 yard runs. It's what is new is having then 3 and 4 yard losses and 0 explosives. That is what is new, is you're just not getting the explosive in the run game. So we're trying to run a wide zone here. Now, this one is also kudos to the Jags of having a good shift here late, but you can see we've got an ability to account for this. We're going on wide zone, and we have an ability to count for everybody. Well, right here before the snap, we bring Ricky Pearsall in motion. You're going to see a shift over. This is going to change everything, and not in a positive way. I don't think they were expecting necessarily this shift, because now you are overmatched in the numbers game. You have 3 blockers that you're going to have against 4 potential defenders. That is being overmatched in the run game, because now on the backside you have 4 potential blockers on 3 potential defenders. You have been beat in the numbers game already, so you still have a potential to beat this if you can wash it down and you can get a cutback where you have fewer defenders, right? Well, first you're playing Connor Colby against Eric Armstead here, and look, I'm not a huge blame the ref guy. I do believe in pointing out really costly plays that weren't called, but this is offensive holding. I mean, you're going to watch Eric Armstead's arm wrap around and grab Connor Colby. He's trying to get up on Floyd. That is offensive holding or defensive holding, and that has a lot to do with this play. Some of that's on Connor Colby. You can't let him do that to you, but that is a big issue here, because you do have an ability to wash down. You're still not going to account for this guy too well. Jake Brendel's got to move on. They're trying to get the defensive tackle washed down more, get Pooney to move him down and create a lane through here. And this just doesn't allow you to do that. So you end up, Brendel comes off late. You don't get that guy picked up, but it still works out, but you can't get off on this. You're over leveraged on the front side. Don't have a good way to account for all 4 defensive players after that shift. Really, that's what it comes down to, because at this point, you have Pooney and Brendel in a 3-on-2. So they have 3 potential defenders they're trying to block with only 2 guys. You want that unaccounted for defender to be on the backside over here. That's where you want it to be, and that's where it's not. And now you have this is your running backs getting hit in the backfield. That's an issue. And that's one where I think if they're looking at that on film, they were able to take advantage of it. They ran this same thing, and then they did a run play up the middle, and they got like 9 yards, I want to say. So, there is that punch counter punch. You're okay with those as long as you can still then take advantage of that movement to get an explosive later. But we just weren't able to do that. And here's one play. So you're going to see this shift, and now you have them shifting this way. So now you're going to try and use that against them. Okay, so now you come with a wide zone to the left again. So this is going to set up well. You're going to get Dom to get a little reach block here. You're going to do a combo. Well, it's okay, I won't say reach block. It's a combo up to the second level. You're going to get a reach from Trent and Colby as this guy kind of shifts down, and you're going to get Colby up on Floyd. This should set up a big lane. We're going to see that everything shifts over. So we saw that play that didn't get a whole lot. This is now how you take advantage. You shift across, and now you have good numbers. You have 3-on-3 here. You have 2-on-2. You have 2-on-2. You have a numbers advantage in the run game. You can get a hat on a hat. So you like that. They're washing this down. This is coming up. Okay, Connor Colby, he's not held. He's going to go get Floyd. He's got to stay low. This is a young guy who is not ready for a linebacker to aggressively fill this gap, and Floyd blows him up in the gap.
Oof.
I mean,
wow.
Blew him up. So if we watch it at full speed, you're going to see Connor Colby gets put on his rear end in the end of this. I mean, yeah, he gets bounced around by another guy, but he gets stuffed in the hole. You're an NFL offensive lineman. I know you're a 7th-round rookie, but you got to get this linebacker and dig him out. Because if you do, this is an explosive. I mean, you're talking McCaffrey one-on-one with this safety kind of explosive. That's how you take advantage, is you use that shift. You're okay with the 2-yard run because you can do this and you get an explosive. Well, now you were 1 block away, and your guard, who you want on a linebacker, gets blown up in the hole. So, I mean, it's one of those issues.
I feel like they always say, oh, we're 1 block away. It's like, yeah, well, if you're 1 block away the whole year, that just means you haven't had any long runs. Like, I don't care if it's only 1 block away. You got to get it fixed. They have not had a 20-yard run this season. We are a quarter of the way through the season, and they haven't had a single 20-yard run. It is making life so much harder for this offense. That's why Brock and Mac are throwing 35 to 40 times a game. It's not because they trust the quarterbacks more. It's because they can't do the other thing.
Yeah, and there's a good stat going back for the entire tenure of Shanahan here, that when our quarterbacks throw more than 32 times, we tend to lose. And that's people have had that as different things to blame on quarterbacks. When you see a system that has been here for 9 seasons now, that anytime a quarterback has to throw more than 32 times, your winning percentage goes down to like 30%. That is a systemic, thing that's going on. And so you've got to be able to get these blocks. And that means that really explains why the team is playing the way they are. This is a play. So we ran this play for the go-ahead touchdown in 2023 in the playoffs against the Packers. Okay, it was down here at the goal line. McCaffrey ran it in. Yeah, it's a play called Mike. Okay, and the reason it's called Mike, it's a red zone run, goal line run. Really, you're at the 9-yard line. It's a read off of the Mike. It's a play that is specifically for a 5-3 front, and we see 5 down, 3 on back. So this is a play specifically designed against this front. And Mike is a read off of the middle linebacker, because you have a way to account for each linebacker. You're going to get Dominic Pooney up on the will or weak side linebacker. McKivitz is going to seal off the defensive end on the back side. Bourne's going to go and get the safety. You're going to leave the end man. You're fine with him. He's not a matter in this play. Bourne's going to go get the outside linebacker. You're going to have Trent on the defensive end. This is Luke Farrell. He's going to go get the Sam or strong side backer. And then, so to account for the Mike and the nose here, your one tech and your Mike, you're going to have Brendel and Colby do a combo here where they're going to read this block through to the Mike. That's why it's called Mike. Whichever side he takes, however they play this, that guy is going to peel off and go pick up the Mike, and the other guy will stay engaged on the one technique. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a combo block on the nose to a read of the Mike. Okay. That should tell us how this is supposed to be blocked. And another important thing is the landmark on this is McCaffrey supposed to aim for the inside foot of Jennings, and then he's going to cut up the inside foot of Trent Williams. So this is meant to be run pretty much right down in between the hashes. Okay. That is where this play is designed to go. So here we start out. Here you go. You see it exactly as that the play is drawn up. You got the combo here. You got the Mike coming down. You got this sealed off on the backside. You're going to go get the Will. Bourne's going to come out here and he's going to try and get that. You got the target. All right. We're looking great. Love it. Okay. Now you have a problem. The Sam has come down. Luke Farrell's going to go pick him up. But Connor Colby gets confused on who was the Mike call. and he's going to think that's the Mike. So he's going to peel off and try and pick up the Sam. Brendel has accurately and rightly identified who the Mike is. He's going to peel off and go get the Mike.
But isn't it Brendel's job to tell the rest of the line about the?
He probably did. He probably gave a number call and said 0 Mike, 0 Mike, or I might be 23.
Okay.
I think it's 0, which would be Floyd. He's gonna give the jersey number. Okay. So he's gonna know, okay, I got this Mike. Colby he's getting, oh, this is what I mean. He's a little overwhelmed by the data. He sees the linebacker flash down. He says, that's the Mike, that's my guy. And he disengages. So you're going to see a lane open up right through here, but the defensive tackle is going to get unblocked and he's going to stop McCaffrey's feet in the backfield. And so there we go. See, Farrell's trying to get the Sam. Colby's disengaged to get the Sam. And Brendel's trying to hold on to him because, well, Colby left. And you should have a lane right through here where McCaffrey's one-on-one with this safety. We saw McCaffrey 1-on-2 on a shovel pass, and he scored a touchdown. This is the very first drive in the red zone. This is your first play in the red zone, and now he's hitting in the backfield.
So just think about what has happened, right? So the 49ers get to the red area. They have a play in the red area that they've had success with. They get the exact defensive front that they want for this play that's perfectly suited to counter what the defense is doing. They hand the ball off, and because one person doesn't know who's who in the zoo, Christian McCaffrey gets drilled, and we're sitting here saying McCaffrey doesn't have any burst. The 49ers, Kyle Shanahan's play calling is stale, and we're all upset that they haven't scored, when in reality, it's just one little piece of sand in the machine that's gumming up the whole thing.
And so now put that in perspective with the pressers when they're asked, like, what's going on? Why aren't you get the run game going? They say, well, it's just one thing here and there. It's one block here. It's one miscut there. Like, you're seeing them say that. It's not just coach speak. It really is that way. And what I mean, like, you're going to see this. I don't mean this as a Connor Colby bashing session, but the kid is overwhelmed. He just is. This is, and look, I get it. We want him to invest more in these positions. Connor Colby has a lot of potential, but he's going through a lot of growing pains. Okay. And then
this play, I know exactly what this play is. This is the screen pass to McCaffrey.
It's a little swing pass. I included it in the run game because, Bill Walsh used to always say a swing pass is just an extended handoff. It's part of the run game. All you're doing is having a run play out here. You're just handing it off way out here. That's all you're doing. So this is a run play. This is not really a pass. This is a run play. You are trying to get a swing pass in here to McCaffrey. You have the numbers. If I just stop it here, you say, okay, man, we got a hat on a hat, and McCaffrey's out here, and we got Brendel coming out. He's going to go and get somebody. You got McCaffrey. This is a touchdown.
Full head of steam.
But Kendrick Bourne, what are you doing? You can see Farrell wants this. Kendrick Bourne's supposed to get him. He gets confused, and then tries to go get nobody. And so Farrell's trying to pick it up late. This guy's shooting through. You should have this drive out to the sideline. Farrell's going to go get him and drive him back. You got Jennings has washed this down. Brendel's coming up going, you get Christian McCaffrey through here. This is a touchdown. Oh. This is red zone. This is, should be right through here. It should be a touchdown. This is red zone, first trip in the red zone. We say, why can't they score in the red zone? What is wrong with the 49ers offense in the red zone? And I look at these, and it's hard for me to say we have a problem with play calling or even play design. We are getting numbers hat on a hat. You just, it just gets really frustrating to watch this. This was, normally I usually feel better after watching the film. Like, I'll see it and I go, okay, the plays were there. The players we have, we can see this get better and we can see this do better. It starts to get frustrating when you're seeing, okay, it's a backup that's making this mistake and it's a backup that's making this mistake. And I have less optimism for it getting better outside of the team getting healthier. And that's not the outlook we have right now. So it gets really, really frustrating.
Benali says, I know the offensive line isn't great. I know the wide receivers they have now aren't good at run blocking and making it harder on him, but didn't they pay CMC because he can take the 5 yards block for him and make it 10? Yes, but also
but you got to get 5 yards block for him. Right now we're getting half a yard block for him.
Yes, thank you. You said that perfectly. That was better than I was even going to say. So thank you.
Yeah. So this one was one I watched a number of times, and I will give him props, even though he may not have wanted to. I reached out to one John Feliciano about this and asked him because I wanted to make sure I was clear on what happened here about this play. And so this is coming straight from the horse's mouth of somebody who played in this system of that we're running a wide zone here. Okay. So this is, again, the bread and butter of what we do. We're going to try and get these combos and work up to the second level. And what I see, I'll play it first so we can watch this. Watch Connor Colby, how he steps here. You're going to see a little step and a hesitation, and then he goes. So I'll show that to you first so you can see it. Okay, then he goes. So I reached out to John, and I said, what happened here? And I said, could you tell me? Because it looks like his left foot steps halfway where Brendel steps all the way across. Okay, the 49ers run offensive linemen. They are running side to side, and Colby is not. And I'm wondering what's going on there. Is he just confused on his steps? Is it, what? And he said, well, what happened here, because I can tell you what happened here, is that Brendel made a solo call on the nose. So what that means is that normally they would work this as a combo, Brendel and Colby, but Brendel's seeing that this guy's way out here, so he understands this is that Pooney's not getting his reach block on this. That's too difficult. So what he's going to do is he's going to help wash this down, and then he's going to go get the linebacker. That means that Colby's got to take the nose and wash him down so that you can then get Trent to wash the 4-eye down, and you're going to get Tonjes up on the second level. You're going to bring Farrell across to kick out, and now you've accounted for everybody. But there's a misunderstanding of what Brendel meant when he made a solo call here with Colby. Colby gets confused. He thinks he's got to go get this linebacker, and so he first steps that way, and then he's going to react to that he's got to pick up the nose solo. So either he didn't hear it or he didn't understand what that meant, which again speaks to him being a 7th-round rookie, because McCaffrey's going to want to take this. Now, remember, his vision is blocked by Brock here in an under center look, but he's going to get this. And once he clears Purdy, you would expect to see this all wash down and this up and these linebackers drawn by this run action. And then McCaffrey cut it up through here. And what you see is once Christian comes out of this past Brock, he's seeing a defensive tackle that's right here. This guy should be washed down behind Brendel's butt, and he can then aim and then work and cut. And that's not what happens here. He's got to run it wide. This thing could have popped, man. Like you can get in through here. You can get in through here. Like he's got a 2-way go on Tonjes's block. And then you are now looking at splitting these safeties if you can, or you're at least getting a 15-yard run. Like this should be a 15-yard run, and you are getting tackled in the backfield. And you can see Christian McCaffrey's frustration when he throws the ball here. Like he is just frustrated with this. You should have this called this is their day one install stuff, and you can't get to the nose because you don't understand the call. That stuff is frustrating because the plays are there. We're not getting them.
Some part of me wants the 49ers to just go full like simulation mode. Like Finale says, Pooney needs a bye week. Yeah, just put Zakel or Drew Moss in there for a week. Like, you're not going to win this week, okay? So just put this rest of the scrubs in. Let Pooney get 12 days off. He's not even on the injury report. Nobody thinks he's healthy. Nobody thinks Trent is healthy. And between the health issues and the miscommunication issues on the offensive line, it's just bad.
Yeah. I mean, this is just bad football. Like, this is not what the 49ers football is supposed to look like. Okay, so now we're going to run another one. And again, this one's got a way to pop. We need Juice to kick this end out just a little bit more, running a wide zone again. And this is going to go. Like, you got this coming around to kick out the backside. This one, hey, these two guys work this really well. Trent and Colby work this well. You got Brendel is getting his seal off there. This looks beautiful. So understand where McCaffrey's eyes are. He's reading this because he's trying to read this linebacker. If this guy comes in, he's going to work outside. If this guy goes outside, and that's where these two guys are. Okay, look at their head stripes. They're both looking this way. They're trying to read where does the linebacker go, because whichever side he goes to, one of these guys is going to peel off and go, and that's going to determine McCaffrey's cut as well. So that's where his eyes are. Because people say, well, McCaffrey should see this and cut inside more. Well, they're trying to set this up. That's the explosive that it comes off of. But you get it in here where you got juice. Hold this block a little bit more, because now you've got this set up and they're going to split these. And you have this split for McCaffrey to go, again, one-on-one with a safety. These are where the explosives happen.
Oh. Come on, Juice.
You got to hold your block for just a half second longer. It gets hit. It's an ankle tackle. And it's there. Like, you are one-on-one with the safety. It's there. And so, again, what do they say? It's one guy here. It's one guy there. It's one little missed block. Like it really is true. Okay. So now you're going to run away inside. I'll let you.
I haven't seen you this exasperated in a long time, maybe ever. And it's frustrating too, because a lot of these guys, like Juice, has been there forever. Like, he knows how it works. He's worked with McCaffrey before. I've said with Brock, he's in a really tough spot because he's not practicing. His receivers aren't practicing. And his number one thing that he needs is chemistry. And he hasn't been able to get that with all these guys in and out of the lineup. Well, McCaffrey is there. Juice is there. Trent is there. Brendel is there. McKivitz is there. Pooney is there. Like, they should have chemistry there. And it just hasn't come together.
Yeah. I think that's what's most frustrating. I don't even know if frustrating is the right word, but disappointing. Like, I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. Good
one. Niner faithful. Watching this, I'm starting to really appreciate Kittle for his blocking skills. Yeah, they miss him big time in the run game. Yeah.
I mean, for real. And we talked about this in the offseason, right? We talked about some of these issues and about specifically we talked about the game in Seattle when George Kittle wasn't there and how much the run blocking suffered. And because I remember after Kittle went down against Seattle the first week, you texted me, you were like, I'm remembering that game, the film you were talking about once Kittle went down, and I'm getting really scared. Like, that's what we're talking about here. Like, okay, so now we're running an inside zone. So this is going to be a read here. Again, Connor Colby, bro, you're getting worked here. Okay, now I get it. This is a tough matchup. That is a big man, 335 pounds. But he gets absolutely stood up by this guy and controlled. This guy's going to stand him up and peek and read McCaffrey. One, this edge crashes down so hard, we get a terrible kick out. Horrible kick out. But Dom gets stood up. Colby gets stood up. We're on the linebackers. Everyone wants to bag on Jake Brendel. He did his assignment. He got up to the linebacker. And now you're seeing, it's a little hard to see because the camera's in the way, but this defensive tackle is peeking. And once he sees McCaffrey commit, he's going to shed Colby and come in here and make the tackle. There he is.
Do you think that maybe we could see some RPOs, especially with Mac, because Mac did a lot of that in New England, and that maybe with the running game being as kind of sketchy as it is, that if they could do some RPOs tonight, that maybe they'd be able to, pop a couple quick passes that way?
It's hard when like plays like this are defensive linemen beating you.
Yeah.
If it's because this guy's flying down so hard, yeah, you can take advantage of that. But it becomes limited on your answers when it's just simply your guys getting beat on a play like that. Again, you get up on the linebackers, you're in the red zone. That was another drive that ended in a field goal. Like, so now we're literally watching points fall off the board. So yeah, it's so hard here.
They're good.
Yeah. So, and then this is another one. You're so close, Tonjes. You got to hold this block just a little bit longer. We're coming with this wide zone on the right. This is going to work out well. These guys do all their jobs right. You're going to get these blocks. You're going to see, okay, Brendel's got this. We got Trent over here. You got a nice combo working up to the second level. You're going to get Jennings coming up to the second level. So actually they're going to come pick this backside guy up. Tonjes just has to kick out this end. Okay, this end's trying to come out and contain. You got to blast him out of here, and you're going to get a lane right up through here as a whole. Again, don't look at here. Look at here. What's developing? You have a lane about to pop through here. Just let's take a minute and let it wash over you.
This is when
The
it's
lane is there. Why doesn't it happen? Because this block isn't held.
Are you surprised that Tonjes has seen as much time at fullback as he has with Juice being healthy?
I think it's more it's they want his receiving there. I mean, I would say a little bit, but I think some of it is also trying to dictate personnel, because we're in 13 or 11 personnel here. Actually, we're in 10 personnel. So this is one back and or 11 personnel, sorry, one back, one tight end. So you're able to go with your traditional I formation runs here with Tonjes, and you're putting the defense in nickel. That's the idea here. So notice they're in a 5-2 front. So it's a seven-man front here. So that has created this front. That's why you get the advantage here, and why this run ends up developing like this. I mean, that is a beautiful crease. Again, McCaffrey now one-on-one with this safety. We're talking explosive run, but he has to hold this up for a sec because he's seeing this color flash. And the end is crashing down, yes, but he should be able to get through that hole. I mean, it should at minimum be like a 12 to 15 yard run. Like, that's what I'm looking at. That is like these creases are forming, and you should be getting more of those popping, and it's not. And it's just getting really, really frustrating. I gotta double check on what's happening here. Okay, so this is another one that Juice, man, this is hard to see, because, and some of this is Juice and Tonjes, and their chemistry and understanding how this is going to be blocked. So we're another one. This is not on the offensive line here. Okay, we're going to get these blocks where you want to get them. You're going to be able to work and then work to the second level, and Tonjes got to kick this out, and then you get Juice leading around, and Juice is going to read this block. Okay, he's leading. If this guy's head comes inside, Juice is going to take it outside. If his head goes outside, Juice is going to come inside. So this is, again, where these two guys are not on the same page on what they're reading. Okay, right at the snap, we're going to see Tonjes engages. Head is on the outside shoulder. So where's Juice going to go? He's going to go outside. This is the man that we're trying to lead on. So what Juice is thinking is they're coming inside and coming outside. So I'm going to go up there and get this linebacker. Trent is going to go pick up the backside. Colby's doing a good job here on that. Got Brendel. I think Brendel gets blown up here, but it's inconsequential because it probably would have popped. So what ends up developing here, though, is Tonjes gets pressed. You see the engage, and then he gets pressed, and then the defensive end comes outside. So Juice is already committed outside, so now you have no way to account for this linebacker. Because if McCaffrey goes outside, well, this guy's got contain on him. Well, that's where Juice is already committed to because of the way this block went out. So now McCaffrey's going to try and cut this up the middle, but you have an unaccounted for linebacker because there's a miscommunication in the lane. And so now he's trying to cut it back up inside, and this conflagration happens. But again, if we look at the lane that is here, if you have this picked up, you are one-on-one with the safety. How many times in the last 25 minutes of this have I said you have McCaffrey one-on-one with the safety if you get this block? And that's the goal of this offense, right? Get your best player one-on-one with a safety in space. And that's consistently what you're seeing, but it's consistently different players that are at the heart of this problem. So I mean, like, this is one of the more frustrating run games. This is one I think Brock should have checked out of this, because they were overloaded on us. And so to me, we got to run this on the other side. You got 5 defenders on that side, and you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blockers maybe, but you got to get some real good blocks on here. They are so aggressive, and they're going to come on this. I would prefer to go to the other side where you can get a 4-on-4 on this, where you can get, I would prefer it to go to the other side, but I don't know what the play call was, what the game plan was. But in this, you're asking your guys to take on these blocks so quickly. You're asking Demarcus Robinson to go take on a strong side linebacker. That's a tough ask. I know we ask a lot of our receivers, but that's a tough ask. You're going to get Jake Brendel gets blown up in the hole by Floyd as well. So I mean, I don't like this run, because this is what blows everything up. These guys don't handle this off well, and you get Demarcus Robinson is not able to wall that down. So I mean, you want to hit this crease, but when that's your main block, I'm not loving it. I'm really not. This isn't McDonald's. So I mean, it comes down in here. And again, that's what's keeping this from popping. But I don't love that as your plan for making it pop. So
right, it's great. It's one block away from popping, but guess what? That block is Demarcus Robinson on a strong side linebacker. He's going to lose that most of the time. You would expect that. So it just seems like when they fix up one thing, another thing pops up in the ground game.
It's whack-a-mole, man.
Yeah, I don't know if they need to simplify it or what, but it is so.
Well, it's hard with simplified, because the basis of the Shanahan offense for 30 years has been this running game and these running plays. Like, these aren't day 3, 4, 5 install runs. This is not even day 3, 4, 5 offensive installs. This is day 1, 2, and 3 offensive installs. Like, if you're an offensive lineman and you come to the 49ers, the very first install tapes you're going to watch are wide zone. Like, that's what you're going to watch. And that's what they're going to harp on. And so the fact that you have those plays there with the foundation of your offense, the very first things you install in your offense before you install play action, drop back passing, your counter runs, anything else, this is the number one play. They start with the offense on this. That is why you're seeing so many offensive problems, when the very first thing that you lean on, because everybody says, you need an identity as a team, and you need those plays that are your go-to plays, and you get to those. These are those plays. And when you are that, like, one block here and there consistently missing that is why your entire offense will struggle.
Chris Forrester, I'm looking at you. Kyle Shanahan, I'm looking at you. You're either coaching it or you're allowing it to happen. That's what Herm Edwards used to say.
Yeah, it's true.
Take your pick on which one it is. I don't really care at this point, but it's severely hampering their offense. They're playing with one hand tied behind their back, essentially. You're putting a lot on Mac Jones and the wide receivers, and now you're on your backup wide receivers and your backup quarterback. So it's not a good look. Now, speaking of all those injuries, Johnny, you texted me something that I thought was really interesting earlier today. You and I were chatting about the show and what we're going to do. And you said that there is a big misconception about the 49ers and the training staffs. So I'll just go ahead. The floor is yours.
Yeah, so I see this on social media all the time. I will harp on that the 49ers have got to make some serious systemic changes within their player performance and health department. And I always get kickback. I will always get 5 or 6 people respond and say, but they've already done that 2 or 3 times during the Shanahan era, haven't they? And I see that on social media, on other people's posts. This is very widespread that the 49ers have revamped their player health and performance multiple times over Shanahan's tenure. And I will say that is a misconception. People are misunderstanding changing of titles for changing of personnel. Okay, so what happened when the 49ers got here? In 2017, when they got here, Dustin Perry was hired as an assistant strength and conditioning coach under Ray Wright, who was the head of strength and conditioning when Shanahan got here. Ray Wright had been a holdover from the previous regime. 49ers go 2 years as one of the most injured teams in the league. Okay, so what they did is Ray Wright was head of strength and conditioning. Jeff Ferguson was head of player health. And so they fired Ray Wright and they fired Jeff Ferguson. Okay, so they did do a major change, but then Dustin Perry, who was hired in 2017 as assistant, was promoted to head of strength and conditioning. He was not an outside hire. He was promoted from within the already dysfunctional department. Okay, so then they hired Ben Peterson. He was hired away from, I think it was the Flyers. He was hired away from the NHL because he had a doctorate in sports medicine and injury prevention and stuff like that. He was hired in, and he was the head of player health and development. That's in 2019. Those guys stayed in their positions for the next 4 years. Then what happened was in 2023, they, before the season, they promoted Ben Peterson to vice president of player health and development. So there was a title change, and everybody assumed that there was a difference in personnel because everybody wasn't familiar. We don't often keep track of exactly who's who in the departments. So Ben Peterson was promoted to VP. They gave him a title change, most likely as a pay raise because he was probably getting a competing offer. And so he was promoted to VP of player health and development. And Dustin Perry was retained as head of strength and conditioning. Then Ben Peterson was hired away the next summer, to the Atlanta Hawks to be their VP of player development. And when that happened, Dustin Perry was promoted from VP of strength and conditioning to VP of player health and development. So there has not been this massive overhaul of and cleaning house and bringing in new personnel into that department. So when I say, and I've been harping on this for a long time, there is no coincidence that the 49ers are a top 10 most injured team in all but 1 year under Kyle Shanahan. There is something systemically wrong in that department with the way that they are going about their business, with the way that they're evaluating players, with the way that they're training players. There's something wrong. They have not cleaned house in that area. What they've done is they promoted from within, and they have kept the same people doing the same things. And when you do the same things over and over again, expecting a different result, that is insanity. So that's what I wanted to clear up, because that is a very common misconception among people that, well, haven't they already cleaned house several times? No, they promoted from within once after they took out the head guys. They did make one outside hire, but then he was promoted, and then they promoted from within again to replace him. So that's what I wanted to clear up.
So, okay. First thing I want to say is I'm guilty of this misconception. I was under the belief that they had changed multiple times. So I need to go back and study up on this clearly, because I was guilty of that as well. The weird thing, though, is like in 2023, they were one of the 10 healthiest teams in the NFL. And I think it's pretty clear now that was an outlier, right? Like they just, but they haven't even been able to get lucky like that again. That's the craziest part about it. If you want to say 2023 was just a fluke luck thing, okay. But how could that not have happened again this is going on year 9? You know, you only got lucky once in a decade.
Well, when you're saying that the 8 out of the 9 are unlucky, at some point you can't use that as an excuse. Like when you have numbers trending in a direction 90% of the time or 87% of the time, that that's not luck. You know, I can't sit here and say that there's nothing wrong there and there is no luck involved. And the easiest way to verify people when you say, I don't know about if Johnny is right on that, go to Ben Peterson's LinkedIn page, go to Dustin Perry's LinkedIn page. They have their bios on there, and it lays all this out. It shows that when they were hired by the 49ers, what their title was, when they were promoted, specifically Ben Peterson. You can see it. He was hired. He has it on there that he was hired in 2019, and the NBC Sports Bay Area reports support that too. You can find the articles on it. And it did take me a while looking at everything to try and find it all, because people would tell me, like, say, Johnny, didn't they already do this? And I would say, am I wrong on that? And so I would go and check it out. And so, yeah, there's 49ers head of strength and conditioning there. And you can see that he's been there since February 2017 to present. So, you know, that tells you, like, he's been there the whole time. 8 years, 9 months. He's head of strength and conditioning, and he's now VP of player health. That's his title now. And if you look up Ben Peterson, and it's BEN, and then Peterson's PETERSEN. So yeah, you'll see him there.
Yeah, there he is.
He's with the Atlanta Hawks now, and you can see his bio. Okay, hired by the 49ers, then VP of health and player health and performance, then head of player health and performance, and then he was head of player health and performance, then he's VP of player health and performance, and now he's director of sports now he's VP of player health and performance with the Atlanta Hawks. So there it is. You can see that, like that they were, and again, it's hard because we get those news articles that come out, and it says, 49ers announce new VP of player health and performance, Ben Peterson, with a background in the NHL and stuff. And people will go, oh, okay, they hired somebody new. Well, no, it was they created a new position and promoted him into that.
I'm wondering if this is like a Kyle Shanahan with the kicking situation, right? Like we couldn't get Jake Moody out of here because Kyle just didn't want to think about it. He didn't want to deal with kicking, and he just didn't want to have to worry. And then
Well,
finally,
yeah, I
but
want to say Dustin Perry, if I remember right, he was either with Kyle in Houston or he was with John Lynch. Like he had worked with one of those two guys before, so this was a familiar relationship.
I did not like when they promoted Dustin Perry in April to VP of Player Health and Performance because they did this stupid thing that they always do, like, oh, we didn't just promote a guy from within. We did a search of all sports, John Lynch said. We did a search of all 4 sports, and we found that the guy we happen to have is the perfect guy for this job that we want, even though we've been one of the most injured teams in the NFL consistently. Somehow, when they conducted their quote unquote search, it was this guy. Just like somehow Jake Moody was in a kicking competition to start the year, and despite missing more kicks than the other guy, he won the kicking competition. Like they start with a conclusion and then they work backwards to try and justify their conclusion, and it clearly hasn't worked. And for Kyle Shanahan, I don't know, even if he doesn't want to deal with it, you have to. You are the head coach. You have to fix this. I'm sure he doesn't like going into Thursday night football and being down all these guys. I'm sure he doesn't like that. Well, you have to get involved now. You have to make a change. Otherwise, you can't sit there and say, well, we had a lot of injuries, because you can't get the benefit or the excuse of the injuries if you're not doing anything to address it.
100%. I mean, you can't sit there and say, well, it's real tough to stop the run when you lose this guy, and it's real hard to rush the passer when you don't have Bosa, and it's real hard to get your run game going when you have guys in and out of the lineup on the offensive line, and you're in and out on your receivers. Look, I understand why the offensive performance is not there. The issue is, why is the player health and performance not up to par? Because at some point, fans and ownership will run out of patience with saying we're just really bad. We have really bad luck with injuries. They're going to say either you are doing something wrong in your practices, or your staff is doing something wrong, or you are picking the wrong players. Something isn't work right. Specifically, it's hard to see when you have some guys who have really strong non-injury histories in college come to the 49ers and all of a sudden have major injuries.
Lisa's 49ers says, well, looks like we got to show up on LinkedIn now, which, you know what? It can't hurt. Harold McAllister says, I think the offense will look much better with Mac tonight than it did last week, which will spark a quarterback controversy. I mean, I'm sure some people will talk about a quarterback controversy, but they just paid Brock Purdy all that money. So if
there's there's no controversy inside the 49ers building. There is none.
No.
No. And look, I get it that when our offense, and this kind of goes to a question somebody had earlier about Kurt Warner's comments about the difficulty of what Purdy's being asked to do, and JT O'Sullivan has made similar comments, and Greg Cosell's made similar comments. And I'm just going to explain this for clarity. I am not making a value or quantifiable criticism of the way that their offense works. This is just for clarity, so we understand how the offense works. And now put that in perspective, that Shanahan's offense has been a top 5 offense the majority of the time he's been here. So we can have criticisms, but everything, when you look at foundationally and philosophically how somebody goes about running their offense, we have to put that in perspective, that because of what I'm about to say, I'm just like putting a caveat on here, does not mean this is the wrong way to go about it, or that it is the right way. It is a way to go about it that has been very successful. It is not the only way, but here's how this works. The drop back passing game is the fourth priority in this offense. That's just the facts. The major priority of the drop back passing game is to get first downs. It is not to be an explosive passing offense. That is as far as drop back passing. It is very much focused on get us another first down so we can run the ball again. And so the downstream effect of that is that you can have for periods, especially when you start leaning on that drop back passing game, a lot of pass plays that look extremely congested and tight in the in between the numbers, and specifically then in the intermediate zones. So in that 10 to 50, 0 to 15 yard range, because much of your drop back passing game is focused on getting 7 yards, on getting 8 yards. So how it starts is you want a strong run game. That strong run game sets up explosive passing game. Explosive passing game sets up then your movement passing game and your counter runs. Those are kind of all batched together. And then that sets up, again, your run game. And then so what you do to get those is your engine, because you want your explosives in the pass game to come off of your big play action passes. You also then have these quick timing throws that are meant to take advantage of how teams are leveraging you, like we saw with the three linebackers all aligned to one side. That's a play that if you're going to come out in that formation again, and then you're going to try and hit a quick hitter right down a crease for a catch and run, a big catch and run play for an explosive. We see that with Debo all the time. That is how the offense becomes structured. Drop back passing just to gain yardage and to move the ball and become your primary means of scoring is not how this offense is built. And so there are going to be it's the last thing you work on. It's the thing you work on least. It is the thing that is really a supplement to your run game, which is very expansive, and your play action pass game, which is where you get your explosives, and then your counters that you get your scoring with. All of those things are the top threes in this offense. Drop back passing is number 4. And that's why it starts to look the way it is. And that's why then there's a high degree of difficulty that Brock Purdy's being asked, because he's not given a lot of the different spread it out and do things, because there's not as many counters off that. So you don't we don't have a run game where you spread 4 wide receivers out and then you run the ball. That's not how we go about the run game. But that helps really well in a passing game, because you can spread everybody out. You can get defined reads. You can create a little more space there. But that's not the building block of the offense, because you then don't have okay, we did this and then we come back with this and then we come back with this. That's not how the offense is built. It starts with the run game, and then everything that you do is counters off that on what defenses do. But your drop back pass game ends up, I need it to get me some first downs or to get me 8-9 yards when the offense is overloading. So I mean that for clarity, not necessarily judgment on if that's the right or the wrong way. I hope that comes across.
Right, because every offense has their priorities, and every offense is built a certain way, and there are things that every offense is not going to prioritize. Like, that's just it's your option as a play caller and somebody setting up a system. I did think it was funny, though, to see Kurt Warner say this, and actually responded to him, because it was like, well, wait a minute. All we ever talk about is how none of the 49ers quarterback stats are valid because Kyle Shanahan makes life so easy for them, right? Jimmy Garoppolo is not one of the best quarterbacks in the league because Kyle dials it up. Brock Purdy's not one of the best quarterbacks in the league because Kyle Shanahan is there. And yet now we've got a Hall of Famer in Kurt Warner say, well, does every quarterback have to make more tough throws within the structure of the offense than Brock Purdy? The degree of difficulty when they aren't dominating is extremely high. And my response to him was like, can we just decide which one it is? Because I want to know.
Yeah, I saw that. And I think his response was spot on. Like, when it's play action passing, yeah, because that is, again, higher in the priority. And so it's where your offense is built. Like, Kurt Warner was in an offense that was very pass centric. We have to remember that he played under Mike Martz and Mike and Dennis Green before that, right? He was very spread it out, passing with that West Coast flair. And then he really had his main success with the Rams, where it was like, we have our passing game, and then we have this counter with the passing game, this counter with the passing game, and we're using Marshall Faulk in there. And then we can line up and we can run it, and we can kind of bring these things in, where the run game was kind of like third down the priority list there with Mike Martz. And so the run game worked as an addendum. It was going to be your short yardage. It was going to be to really make teams pay when they were just sitting way back in these shells and trying to do stuff. So, like, when the 49ers are that way, it's just not. And that's why they struggle playing from behind. We use these stats of, like, Kyle Shanahan is, 3-38 when down 7+ points or whatever in the fourth quarter. And we've then put those on quarterbacks and we say, this proves that they suck at this. And you go, well, it's more of the function of the offense. That's why it is really hard for them to come back late in games. But this is also why their winning percentage has been high when they are healthy and the run game goes, because they are so tough to beat if they can get that run game going. It is so hard to stop a 49ers offense. if that run game gets going at all. I mean, it is really tough. So again, it's not a judgment statement of which way is better. I mean, you see like with the Broncos, what they're doing, their offense is more a little bit balanced. I would say it's more down the middle. They're doing a lot of things that are making life easier for Bo Nix. And so it's easy to kind of put, okay, Bo Nix here, Brock Purdy here, and Bo Nix is playing way better. Well, he's being asked not to do some of the things that Brock's doing, because what Brock is asked to do is help the run game keep going, because that's what they really want to do, because they don't want to drop back 35 times. They want to run the ball. They want to get the explosives in the play action. And that's the whole idea of everything.
Foot, thank you very much for the super chat. Foot says, this is all may very well be true. But the fact of the matter is, fans don't give a crap about the intricacies. It's all about winning. Head coach, injuries, Purdy sucking, etc. The reason you suck doesn't matter. Well, it might not matter to fans, Foot, but it matters in real life. Like, there are reasons that things happen. And I get that we're all frustrated that the big picture stuff, the championship, has not happened. But, I mean, I guess, look, if you just want to say, hey, I don't care, just win, that's fine. But, I'm here every day. Johnny's here every day. We're trying to explain why. You don't need us to tell you if something is working or not working. You can see that. The games are on TV. We're here to tell you why, and to maybe try and find out, like, hey, this might be a reason why it's not as bad as it looks, or unfortunately, sometimes this is a reason why it's worse than it looks on TV. But like, we live in the intricacies.
Yeah, and we're also trying to bring some clarity to the discussion, because very much it's just, it is binary. It's okay, we don't care. We lost. Brock threw 2 interceptions. Brock sucks, and it's like, can we be a little bit more nuanced than that? Or Kyle's offense sucks, and you go, okay, he's been a top 5 offense most years in this league. I will say, yes, what really matters is whether you win or lose. And the fact is, the 49ers are 3-1 right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we're acting like we're 1-3. I understand we're probably almost certainly going to lose tonight. I get that. Again, not because the offense has systemic issues, but because the offense is systemically not executing. That's how I look at it. Because you go, okay, if you're Kyle Shanahan and you say, I made it to a Super Bowl in 2019, I made it to an NFC Championship game in 2021, I made it to an NFC Championship game in 2022, we think we should have gone and won a Super Bowl in 2022. We get to the Super Bowl in 2023. We got 4 horrible injuries in the Super Bowl, and we had our defense that was so confused there in the last few drives. Am I looking at my offense and saying, I need to tear it down and rebuild it? And it completely systemically changed the offense. And this is an offense that my dad went and won a Super Bowl with in the 90s. And then he won 2 Super Bowls with the Broncos, and has been highly successful everywhere it's gone. And this tree has spread throughout the NFL. If you're Shannon, are you really going to then listen to the fans and say, well, you aren't winning, you didn't win that game, you need to tear this offense down and rebuild it from scratch with a completely different philosophy? It's not going to happen. If Shanahan got fired tomorrow, he would go to another team and rebuild an offense the exact same way, and he would probably end up with a top 5 offense in the league. And then we'd all go, why did Jed fire him?
Well, and that's why, like, I always push back against the narrative that, like, oh, Kyle Shanahan needs to get fired so that he'll change. He won't change. Andy Reid did not change. I know people like to talk about him like he did. He didn't. He got to the Chiefs, and guess what? He blew one of the biggest playoff leads in the history of the NFL when he was with the Chiefs after being fired from the Eagles. Why? Because he had Alex Smith as his quarterback. Then Andy Reid got Patrick Mahomes, and he won 3 Super Bowls. It's not because he changed. It's because he got Patrick Mahomes. Like,
yeah. And I mean, and they had all these, and he's had Steve Spagnuolo, one of the best defensive coordinators in the league there. Like, Andy Reid went and got Alex Smith, who was at that point his best career passing yards was like 3,200, and he still played the Donovan McNabb, we're going to pass it 60 to 65% of the time offense with Alex Smith in that. Like, Andy Reid didn't sit here and say, well, I'm going to suddenly become a run first, 70% of the time on first down, run the ball head coach. That it wasn't. He said, I've had a lot of success with this. This is the way I know how to build an offense and coach, and that's what we do. And now, I mean, there is changes. They do evolve over time, but there is not a foundational change. You don't see suddenly, Bill Walsh never came out and said, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in the I formation, every single time, 90% of the time, and run the ball between the tackles as a head coach. Even when Joe Montana was hurt and he had a bad elbow and he was blowing the game against the Vikings in the playoffs, Bill Walsh didn't go into that offseason and say, what I really need to do is rebuild this offense foundationally, and now around Roger Craig running between the tackles. That's not what they did. He went and did what he had always done as an offensive coordinator, and then they went and won a Super Bowl. So, I mean, you don't like expecting that to change is just, it's I don't know, blind wishing. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Actually, what Walsh did is blatantly tamper, give Steve Young a private workout while he was a member of the Buccaneers, and then trade for a guy to replace Montana to continue running the system that he had always run, but hopefully run it better. So, yeah, I agree with you. Harold McAllister says multiple reporters said that Brock was throwing high at practice before the Jags. How come Kyle wasn't able to see that, trusting Brock too much? I mean, maybe he was throwing high. He's trusting Brock because Brock is his starting quarterback, man. Like, I think that Brock is better than Mac Jones. I think he is. I don't think it's particularly close. I know that Mac Jones has won a couple of games. I think Brock Purdy is a much better player. So if you're asking me why Kyle trusts him, because they're not close as players. Doesn't mean that Mac Jones can't win games, but I think Brock is better, and I think it's pretty easy to see.
Yeah, this is a weird. I mean, we're San Francisco. We're known for quarterback controversies. I mean, that's just what we do. This feels more like Tim Rattay and Jeff Garcia than Joe and Steve. I'll just like, this is one of those that's almost manufactured into a weird belief that Mac Jones could be better. No, like we played that song and dance with Tim Rattay, and we learned that after a few games, it was not true that Tim Rattay was better than Jeff Garcia, no matter what T.O. said. So, yeah.
Tim Rattay and Jeff Garcia. Oh, man. Those are some days. Let me just tell you.
I mean, because remember, like, that was the thing after that Monday night game. He threw a couple deeper touchdowns to T.O., and T.O. had apparently told him in the production meeting that week. Why I remember this, I have no idea. But he because this isn't from anything I read. It's just literally remember watching the broadcast, and I can't remember who. I think it was John Madden was covering the game, but they were talking about that. T.O. told them that Tim Rattay just drives the ball down the field a little bit better than Jeff Garcia, and then he threw those 2 touchdown passes, and it all blew up of like that there was a quarterback controversy, and it was a whole thing.
Yeah, I'm tired of the quarterback controversy stuff. Like, if somehow Mac Jones wins this game tonight, even if it's like 3 special team return touchdowns, but if Mac Jones somehow wins, there is going to be a Brock Purdy quarterback hunt. Should Mac Jones be the starter? Did they waste their money with Brock Purdy? Like, as long as they win, you know that narrative is going to pop up. I mean, it's a world I'd love to live in because it means the 49ers would be 4-1, but at the same time, like, miss me with that, man. I don't know if I have the energy for that, but
if we win, there's going to be a quarterback controversy. If we lose, it's going to be a head coach controversy. Like, no matter what happens tonight, just be ready for that, everybody. There's going to be a controversy no matter what happens.
Did you see, by the way, the tweet from Josh Dubow about JT O'Sullivan during the game?
Yeah.
That was so good. Let me see. Oh, here it is. Yeah, I'll pull it up. So
he said Brock was the first one to have all those turnovers since JT O'Sullivan.
Yeah, so here, I'll bring it up on the screen. Josh Dubow tweets, Brock Purdy becomes the first Niners quarterback with 3 straight games with multiple picks since JT O'Sullivan. And O'Sullivan sees it and responds, damn, Josh. Josh says, sorry. That was something that made me smile during a crappy Sunday.
Yeah. And that was, if you remember, that was Mike Martz, who was the offensive coordinator for the 49ers during that stretch that we all were sitting there with the Alex Smith and Sean Hill quarterback controversy all offseason. And then JT came in, threw for like 300 some yards in preseason, something like that. And he was named starting quarterback, came out against the Seahawks, beat the Seahawks in Seattle, threw for like 324, I want to say, 3 touchdowns, something like that. And then he went like 7 or 8 straight games where there was multiple turnovers. I want to say it was 21 or 22 turnovers in 7 games is what happened with JT. Wow. And then he got benched for Sean Hill.
Oh, he went 1 touchdown, 2 picks, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks, no touchdowns, 2 picks, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, 0 touchdowns, 1 pick. That was
And I think he had a fumble in that game. Though.
He had 4 fumbles in one of the games. Oh my God. Oh, JT, I love you. But those were some dark times. Harold McAllister says, I don't think Mac is better, but fans are going to want Mac if he wins. Yeah, but just because they want him and just because they win while Mac is playing doesn't mean that Mac is the reason that they win. That is why some of these conversations get exhausting. But again, let's go special teams tonight, baby. Let's get some returns. Let's get some Fred Warner. If you get your paws on the ball, you got to hang on to it. If the 49ers knock the football on the ground, they got to fall on top of it. That's how you got to steal this stuff. If it's going to happen, that's the way it's going to happen. Regardless, make sure you join us after the game for the Instant Reaction Podcast. Levin and I will be live here on the YouTube channel, on Twitch, on Facebook. Please join us. I always tell you, I think it's the best show that we do, and I think we do our Instant Reaction show better than anybody else's. So please, if you can, hop in immediately after the game is over, and we can commiserate together, or hey, maybe celebrate. Who knows? Let's just see. But regardless, thank you, Johnny. Thank you, everybody. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. Go Niners tonight, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.